Hey, welcome to our podcast, Figuring It Out Together.
We're a group of young women here to give us and other young people a voice.
So let's get real and talk about issues like mental health, body image, relationships, and life experiences.
To talk and advocate on issues that not only affect us now, but in the future.
Hi, and welcome back to Figuring It Out Together. I'm Abia, and in today's episode, we will be talking about social media. Joining me are Sienna, Anna, and Leanne. So to start off, how old were you guys when you first got social media? Okay, let's talk about Instagram specifically. How old were you when you got Instagram?
I actually have not gotten Instagram. I've got other forms of social media for just purposes of communicating with family from other countries and stuff. But I do not have the mainstream Instagram. What about you, Anna?
I might steer away, not just Instagram, but when I was in year 6, that was the year that I moved to a different school. So I was allowed to get Snapchat when my birthday came around. And I honestly feel like that if I didn't get Snapchat, I wouldn't have stayed connected with half my friends from my old school. So I think that was a plus. But then it took me till I feel like maybe year 7 or year 8 till I could get Instagram and Facebook. I honestly got them at the same time, I think.
Just a quick follow-up question to everybody in general. Did you guys get social media, or did your parents let you have social media? Because I know because I know a lot of younger generations nowadays are allowed to just go to the Play Store and download it.
Yeah, they just download it randomly and they just make an account, and I'm like, wow, imagine having that freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got it, I think the same as Anna. I got it in year 6. And that was just Instagram and Snapchat. And I think it was all my friends were finally getting it. And because we were all going to high school, it's we could convince our parents, how are we going to stay in touch, So we all got it kind of around then. But I do remember my primary school put a ban on it. And I think it was Instagram. And they were if we find out that you have Instagram and you go to this school, in primary school, you'll get in trouble. So, it didn't happen for a long time until, finally we were leaving and graduating. But, yeah, my parents let me. I didn't just go off and just do it like a lot of people do now.
I mean, it sounds a bit restrictive, but I think it's a good thing that they didn't allow kids to have Instagram at your primary school, because they're, kind of preventing such, stereotypes or any expectations put on them at such a young age.
Yeah, at the time it was kind of oh my God, this is so rude. But looking back, I think that's right. Being that young and having that kind of social media is can be really damaging. But yeah,
I think it also depends if you had older siblings and stuff who had social media.
Yeah.
Because I know kids in my primary school who had it when they were in year 3 and stuff, Instagram. But that was because their older siblings had it.
Mm.
And I had older siblings, but they weren't really into Snapchat at that point and stuff. So I didn't really see a lot of it.
Yeah, I actually remember, because I have 2 older siblings, and I still remember I only got my phone, not even social media, just a phone, after both of them. No, after I got into high school, because there was really no need for me, because in my parents' point of view, the phone was really just to communicate with them to make sure that we're okay. So technically I didn't need it until one of them either graduated or I was going to a different school. So I didn't really get a proper phone until I think late year 6 or early year 7. Yeah.
Yeah, getting the phone was just because I needed it, because I took the bus all the way from prep by myself. I took the bus till year 5, and then it got to a point where I needed someone to call because to get picked up from the bus stop. So then they were okay, here's this tiny little iPhone 4, have fun with it. And even at that time, I forgot about it. It would be at the bottom of my bag, and I'd be someone's phone's ringing on the bus, and then I'd be oh wait, it's mine. And then I had to dig out my little phone. And I didn't really care about it until I got into high school and other people were like, oh, you need Instagram. You need this. That's the only way we can talk. And I'm like, what about text message? Hello?
Speaking of ages, how old do you think we should be when we get social media?
I think it kind of also depends what sort of social media. Like with Instagram, it's like more widespread than Snapchat.
I think Snapchat would
I
be
feel
good for like personal or like close friends. That's fine to have. But I think having connection to the rest of the world in like such a global format, I feel like that's a bit overwhelming for like a 10-year-old.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree because I think it's like it can be really scary, but then it's like we can restrict them from social media, but then they'll still go on things like YouTube, and which is exactly the same. So there's no real restricting it because we live in a digital age now. So it's like no matter how old you are, like if you don't have like an iPhone or an iPad, it's like you're completely and like even if you don't have it, someone you know will, and you have access to that like at some point. So you can't like completely restrict a child from it, which is scary, especially now. Because even I mean, I know we're not that much older than like younger kids, but
Yeah.
when we were their age, social media and like phones and iPads and stuff weren't
It was all
that
very
popular.
new. Yeah.
Yeah, it was still new and a lot of people were still like figuring it out. And it was really just to like have a game on your phone. Like
That
it
was still the time when Instagram was like the old what's it called? The old camera?
yeah, and the blue at the top.
Yeah.
And it was just like nothing. But now, because it's everywhere and we're all so addicted to it, like kids are going to find a way.
And I think it depends when you give that child the access to a phone and Instagram and all that. Because I've seen it. When you give the first year of giving a child Snapchat and Instagram, they will be on it 24/7. It's their lifeline. But then gradually over like a year or so, it's nothing new to them anymore. So then it's boring for them. And that's like everything. If you give a child a new toy, they love it for like the first week and then they discard it. So it depends what time you give it to them. Because if you give it to them when they're doing VCE, it's obviously going to obstruct their learning because it's something new and they're excited. But if you give it to them early and they're just, okay, that's something there, and they learn how to take care of their time with it, then they can just use it properly instead of wasting their time all day on it.
But I feel like, sorry, I like cut in, but I feel like that's kind of the problem with social media and like, you know, all those kind of platforms because it is something new every day. Like, you know, there's new, like, especially with content creators, like influencers and like new videos and like constantly posting and stuff. That's why I think with, you know, iPads and iPhones and things like that we constantly are addicted to, it doesn't just fade out like a normal toy would have ages ago. It's because new things are always coming. So especially for kids and even for us, like there's no way to like get out of that addiction.
Yeah, and social media doesn't just restrict itself to Instagram and Facebook. It's YouTube, it's Pinterest, it's WhatsApp, it's
TikTok.
Oh my gosh, Reddit, all these different apps. And even though I don't have like the conventional Instagram or anything, I still find that I'm still influenced by the people I watch or the memes that I see or the random TikTok videos that come up on like YouTube compilations. It's crazy, but like even if you don't have a certain app, you're still exposed to different types of perspectives and different influences within society.
But my question is, Leanne, with the decision of not having Snapchat and Instagram, do you think that was a great choice? Like it stopped you from, like it's enabled you to focus more on your education and stuff?
I definitely think...
Oh, sorry, but were you like pressured at any point? Or did you like feel pressured to have socials?
I think so. I mean, definitely not to like a crazy extent, but I do think at times it would be an inconvenience because my friends would want to make a group chat or they'd want to have like an Instagram group chat or something or a Snapchat circle or something. And they'd be like, oh, you don't have Snapchat, you don't have Instagram. Are you kidding me? Why don't you just get it? Like, what's the problem? But I think it definitely did increased the amount of time I have to do other things. Like, even though I did not have social media, it kind of opened up opportunities for me to take part in extracurricular activities or community activities, rather than spending time on my phone as soon as I get home. And I think even though that was a positive, I do think I did miss out on like having online relationships with other people, or making new friends online, or learning that skill of being able to communicate with others on a global level outside of like school or community or family. Yeah.
That's a great point you just pointed out, having that skill to talk to new people on that global level. Because it's not good. I've added people, like let people add me on Snapchat who I just don't even know, but I make friends with them. And then you realize, oh, wait, they go to this school right next to my school. They're friends with my friends. And you're able to like talk to people without being worried or anything.
Yeah, it's important
Your
to
social skills
recognize.
grow.
Yeah, exactly. It's important to recognize that social media is not just like a menial activity that doesn't have any use. It actually does improve your communication skills, and it does improve your ability to manage your time. And although a lot of people who are still struggling with that, it's still something that you learn, and it's something that you just learn to control better. So social media is more than just like watching videos or following celebrities.
Abia, what's
Okay.
your experience with your socials?
So with me, I've moved schools like a lot of times. So I think that's when when my mom like first let me she first let me get Instagram, because I told her like, I'm moving schools and how am I gonna keep in touch and everything. Yeah, and then yeah, and then so yeah, but I think do you think like a lot of how do I say this? Do you think parents should be like checking their kids' social media accounts?
I think
No.
it's no. I agree where Anna's coming from, but I think they're allowed to check, but not in a secretive way. Because hear me out. Like,
Yeah, it's like not behind their backs.
yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing you want, especially with like a parent child, I'm no like parenting expert. I literally do not have kids, and yet I sound like I'm an expert. But I think like
You're saying it as if we all have kids.
I know,
like-
right? We're all students, but I think in a parent-child relationship, if the parent like creates a secret account and starts following them and watching what they're doing, I think it kind of almost like tarnishes the trust they have for each other, and the kid just kind of the kid starts to think, oh, if they don't even trust me enough to like have my own social media account, how am I supposed to trust them with my secrets? Like, I think it's fine to follow them and check up on them as long as you're letting them know that, hey, I saw your post, or like, hey, I liked your post. It was really nice. I think it would be better to be open about about checking up on your children's like social media posts rather than being secretive about it, because that could just create a roadblock between your parent-child relationship.
I feel like Anna has something to say.
I have so much to say. Abia, this is a great question. I feel like it just depends what that parent and child dynamic is. Because I'm not saying go make a secret. When she asks checking up on your children's account, that's like going through their socials, seeing who they talk to, seeing what they post. And that can be very damaging. Like your child doesn't have control over what their friend says to them. Their friend can say something really like promiscuous or really out there, and you're just listening, and your parent could blow up and be like, these are the things you're saying, blah, blah, blah. And that can be really traumatic and damaging for the child. And that's losing that trust between the parent and child. And I feel like that really shows what type of relationship there is. Because if you have an open relationship with your parents, then there should be already trust there. They shouldn't have to, I guess, look through your social medias, because you might be a totally different person around your friends. You might be two different people, one around your friends and one with your parents, and they just don't need to collide.
Yeah, but is that a good thing, like being different around your parents and then being completely different around your friends?
I don't think it's completely different. Yeah, I feel like it's just two different, like you might swear, you might be more like saying different things around there, because obviously I'm not going to be in front of my parents swearing nonstop and sexually talking and stuff, like all of that to my parents. That's a tad bit over the top. But you've got friends for that for a reason. Like you have those friends so you can talk like kind of like that to them. And you've got your parents, like they can add you if you want. They can have their own Instagram page and add you and follow you. And that's fine. But going through your socials to like judge who you're talking to and what you're posting, I don't feel like that's great.
I think I understand where Anna's coming from, because I think the problem is not the fact that parents are seeing our social media, but more about the fact that they're making assumptions or judging us based on our social media. Because I think they don't realize that the things that we show online are not how we really are in real life. No, that doesn't sound right. It's like,
No, I think you said it right.
it's essentially just, it's not, even though we do stuff online and even though we talk to like friends online, it doesn't mean that we're like really, I don't know how to put it.
No, I get you. You're not exactly like that all the time.
Yeah.
It's not a true representation of you
Yeah.
in the end.
Sometimes, honestly, you're just having like a bit of a fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think like with the whole like parents thing, I understand like because we can't talk for parents because we're not parents. We're the kids in this whole situation. And I just think that if a parent wanted to go through their kid's phone because they had concerns, I think they should talk to their kid, because I think having social media, especially as like a teen or like, you know, a young person, it gives you a sense of like independence and a sense of privacy, and it's something that you can control because we're so young. Like there's not much we can go out and do just by ourselves, especially like, you know, we're still living at home, or, you know, we can't, like, we don't have our license, we can't go drive. So our social media, especially because it's such a new age, it's one of the few things that we can completely control and have for ourselves. So it's like a sense of like privacy, especially like the people that you talk to, the conversations you had. Like if you go back generations, there's no way of your parents butting in on your conversations that you have at school with your friends. So it's like the same thing now. Like just because it's online doesn't mean it's for anyone else but you and your friends. But I mean, it's a fine line because it, like, you know, there's obviously it's depending on the situation and everything. But you know, because there's pros and cons with social media, I think one of the pros is that it does give kids a sense of independence, individuality, and privacy.
I understand what you're saying, Sienna, but I feel like, just to play devil's advocate, like thinking from the parent side, would you think that they want to see what we're doing and they're looking into our phones because they feel like we don't open up to them? Because every time we walk into like a car or like after school, we jump into the car, the parents say, "How was school?" We say, "Fine." Like they're getting like one word, short answer responses from us. And I don't think we're doing that purposely. It's just because we're tired. We just can't be bothered talking.
Yeah.
But when you see it from their perspective, it's like they're not getting anything out of us and they're not really part of our lives. So I feel like just seeing it from their side, it could just be because we're not being open with them. And that's something that we have to work on as well as kids.
But, oh gosh, but it depends on like how the parents are allowing that to be open. Like, what is the relationship there that the child can be open and not feel judged or getting a lecture over the smallest thing?
That's so true. We have some kids face like struggles or troubles communicating with their parents. Maybe they turn to social media to have that sort of a form of expression. Yeah, and that's definitely
the social media is a way for a person to just, it's a way out. It's a way to show themselves and who they are.
Yeah, exactly. I think like when we talk about social media as like a broad topic, a lot of people tend to go with and talk on about the negative things about it and how like damaging it is, which, you know, it is also true. But we also forget to mention how great it can be. Like I know a lot of people, especially we were talking about friendships in one of our other episodes. Like if people do struggle, and a lot of people do, to, you know, make friends in real life, or they don't particularly they can't find any people with them at the moment, like in their area that they're similar to, or, you know, that they can get along with. Social media can help with that. And I know a lot of people who a lot of their friends are from online, and that's, you know, and that makes them really happy, and that it can become like a safe place for them.
That's very true. It becomes like almost like a safe haven, like you said, where kids feel comfortable sharing their opinions or sharing their experiences. And I think with that, we are not only do we share our experiences, but we see other people's experiences. And I don't know about you guys, but I've in like the short time we've always all had social media, I think we've seen the negatives as well of like influences on social media. And how are we influenced negatively by social media? Abia?
Well, obviously, I think this is something which everyone like knows. It's fake. Yeah, like it's fake. Most of the time, like majority of the time, things that we see on there aren't even real, you know?
Like with the filters and everything, it's all either airbrushed or something's been changed to make it look like you're living your best life. When in reality, you could be going through a tough time.
Yeah, and like not even just like physical things like using, yeah, like airbrush and filters, but also just how people perceive their lives. Like influencers, like they're always doing something new, or like, you know, they're constantly like bettering themselves or trying something, and like, and it can be motivating, but it's also like if it's in your face every single day, it starts to make you feel bad about the day, like your bad days.
Yeah.
Or like not having as an interesting or exciting life, or, you know, it can be like, you know, you feel like you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, like if that is true, if they are really like going on an amazing spiritual journey, but like if it's a shame because it also makes us feel bad about what we're lacking in our lives, and I think that affects all of us mentally too.
Yeah, like it sets unrealistic expectations of
Exactly.
how we should be living, especially for young people. Like all these influencers are like a lot of them are like in their 20s, and like, you know, they're just doing it for like brand deals and like sponsorships and like making money. And we're sitting here watching them like, oh, I should be doing that. Like, I'm not doing enough. When really we just need it. Like, we don't know how to just be a teenager. Like, it's because there's so much out there that's pressuring us and stressing us.
Yeah, and then
when we
another
see
thing.
all-
Oh, sorry. You go.
when we see all of those things and we want to like do the same thing, we get to a point where we post just to show off that we're doing the same thing, that we're going off. And it gets to the point where you ask yourself, am I posting for myself or for others? Because I know for me, my actual posts on Instagram, like the pictures I actually post, is for myself. I want to go back. That's why I put where, like, on the day and where it was taken, because I like to go back and see, oh my gosh, that was a great day. But on my story, I post for other people because I have such a like anxious thing for other people to see it, because that's going to be there for 24 hours. I mentally know that and I've accepted it.
I don't know if you guys have this too, but I have friends that have like so they have like a public social media account, and then they have a second private account where they put like all their like nasty stuff, like the funny stuff, the dumb stuff. If they're going through a breakdown, they put it on that one, and that's like the private account, which are only for like close friends. And it's good in a way because you're only allowing certain people to see that, but at the same time, you're not really showing your true self to the public. And I feel like that just kind of sets like an unrealistic standard for everybody to like have perfect posts and perfect days on like social media.
Yeah, I actually like your friend. I have something like that on my Instagram. I have just like my main account, and then I have another one which is just for close friends. And I stopped using it for a good 2 years because I used to like post on like, you know, just like funny things or like photos of me and my friends just for me and my friends to see. And then I stopped, and I don't even know why, but I was just like tired of like constantly having to, like it became like I don't know, like it was fun, and it's amazing to look back on like all the memories, but it just became like tiring, and it wasn't something that I was excited to do anymore. And yeah, and like in terms of like social media, I don't know if I'm the only person who does this, but on my like main Instagram account, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people do this too, but like every like 6 months, I'll just completely delete all of my photos and not have them up for like 7 months. And then one day just be like, okay, maybe I'll like put them back up. And then like gradually it just gets shorter, the amount that I put back up. And I don't know why. It's just like I sometimes when I'm like, I could be sitting doing nothing and I just get really anxious knowing that like those photos are there for anyone to see at any time, and they're like normal photos like of me and my friends and like, you know, like nothing, and it just makes me like really anxious. It's at the weirdest of times.
Yeah, and I feel like I stop myself from doing that. I look at my old photos and I go, oh, not like does other people delete their photos? Do they delete their photos and not let them be there for that long? And then I go, no, wait, I have to stop myself. Like, it's fine. The picture can be there. Like, I have to literally think in my head, like, stop. The pictures can stay there. It's fine. There's nothing bad about the picture. And I have to, like, remind myself.
You know what, though? I feel like sometimes we're more critical of our own photos than the general audience is. Like, you may post something, like, 6 months ago, and then you come back to it a year later, and you're like, oh, I hate the way my legs look in that. Or like, ew, my makeup looks so gross. And you're like overanalyzing your own pictures, whereas somebody like in just general society is probably like scrolling, sees it, and just like keeps scrolling. Like they barely even look at it. And we make a bigger deal about a simple picture than it needs to be.
Yeah, because I think subconsciously we constantly compare it to everything else that we see. And that's like famous people and celebrities, or even just like influencers, or like even our peers. So we just like, we're always overthinking it and overanalyzing it.
Yeah, did you have to say something?
I was just gonna say another thing about social media is that it can get addicting. Like for me, I know personally, there have been lots of times where I'm just mindlessly scrolling on Instagram, and then I just catch myself, and I look at the time, and I'm like, oh, I've been doing this for like a bit too long.
Yeah, I don't think we really realize how much time we spend on social media until like we actually we look at the clock. And when you put it into perspective, like you could be doing so much more productive stuff in that time.
Yeah.
But speaking of, how long would you say you spend on social media, and how long is too long, I guess?
I don't even want to say.
Personally, Sienna. Well, I've personally gotten to a point where I just don't go on my phone till like 10 p.m. because I've got my laptop, so I'm either watching something. So it's not like I'm not on like constantly doing something, but I just don't have my phone. And then it gets to 10 p.m. and I'm in my bed and I'm like, okay, let's reply to these people. And then they just start like, they want to start a conversation with me. And this conversation's going till 12 p.m. And I was like, I should have at least people, no one wants to speak during the day, but that's kind of my fault as well.
Yeah, I mean,
What is your time?
oh God. I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like every time I'm having like a bad day, my instant like reaction is to just spend hours on social media, and not even like not posting or anything, but just like Abir was saying, just mindlessly scrolling, especially with TikTok. Like I'm just like on it for hours, and it's like, I know, like we all know that it's not good, like it's not a good habit, but it's in like an addiction, like we just can't, it just fills time, and it's a great distraction, and it's really bad, and even I can recognize it, but it's like not stopping anything. And I think that's the same for a lot of young people, in especially our generation.
I feel like we usually do it when we're like procrastinating on something.
Yeah, 100%.
I think social media is probably the greatest enabler of procrastination. You can spend hours on there and just not realize that you've like completely disregarded an essay that's due tomorrow, and you're still scrolling on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, and then you just keep scrolling, but just more stressfully.
Exactly.
You look at the time and you go, oh, I just wasted another 10 minutes.
And then
you
I'm just gonna keep scrolling.
Just keep going.
Yeah, because it's like, have you ever like said, okay, I'll start at like 6, but then like
it's
because you're
6:01.
yeah, it's
and
like
then
6:02 or 6:03, so you go, oh well, I may as well go 6:15 now, and then like it's 6:17, so
Yeah.
30, and it's just this like cycle.
It's really a vicious cycle. It is.
Yeah,
But I
TikTok
personally
is
don't.
so much worse.
Oh yeah.
I can't, like, as soon as I just start scrolling, and there's always something new on TikTok. Instagram bores me now. There's something always new on TikTok, so it's just
yeah,
on and on and on.
You know what though? It's really scary. I watched there was like, I think it was at the start of this year, I believe on Netflix, there was a documentary called The Social Dilemma. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend watching it because it's really amazing. And one of the things I learned is like, it's crazy to think that the creators of TikTok purposefully made a social media platform in which you spend hours and hours just to get time out of our day. Like, they purposely made it so we can waste time.
yeah. They knew
There's
it was gonna
first of all, they keep it really short to like 6 to 7 seconds, and as soon as this video finishes, it scrolls down to the next one. You don't even have to do it;
Yeah.
it goes instantly to it. So there's like a never-ending, just like constant feed, and it only stops when you stop. But you don't want to stop because you're just constantly watching content. So
And
you're just stuck there in like this endless cycle of just like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling until you realize like days have gone by and you haven't done anything.
yeah, and like it's completely ruined our attention span, I think.
Yeah, Sienna, the attention span thing, because people used to listen to like 4 minute long music, and now music's come down like a minute or 2 minutes. So,
You
and
guys
now-
remember, even like in the 80s, 70s, it used to be like 7, 8 minutes. Like it was even
Yeah.
longer. But now it just keeps decreasing in time. It's crazy.
Even like movies. Like I don't know, like I love movies. I've always have. But it's like now difficult to sit and watch a whole movie without like doing something else while I'm also doing it.
Same. I can't watch
Yeah.
movies at all. Like if it's anything longer than 22 minutes, I just can't.
I
I
have
can
to be
sit
doing
there
something
like,
at the same time.
yeah, exactly.
And like that negatively affects our school as well because sometimes I'm in school and I'm like trying to listen and like take notes and like in class and I just cannot focus because I'm like zoning out. Like it's just going on too long.
What about like the positive side of social media?
We were silent. It was like nothing.
Like we put a few things up there.
No, I think like connecting with friends. I think that's like the best thing. And especially with COVID, like we all went through it and it helped a lot. Like we could still talk to everyone and we could still like distract ourselves and like have a laugh on like TikTok or Instagram or something like that. Yeah, and like also the communities that come out of social media. Like it's actually really great.
And even like the online movements that people start, like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw, but for the Black Lives Matter movement, they had that day where everybody posted just black screens. And that was so great
Yeah.
because in your feed, all you could see is just all black squares. And it was really amazing because even though like we were all in different parts of the world, we all got together just for this one movement, just for a day, just to all post black screens. And it was really amazing that we had the ability and the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I guess that's the other great thing about social media is that it lets a lot of other people advocate for things that they believe in, like especially recently with the whole like protesting against violence against women, as like in Australia. I've seen a lot of people, like people from school, like even just general like my peers, like people our age, posting things that are bringing awareness to it. So it's not like now when something comes up and we're all passionate about it, we're not just hearing about it on the news from adults, we're hearing about it from young people too. And that's like a really powerful thing that social media has done for us.
Yeah, it gives platforms to those who cannot find it from other places, and it really gives a voice.
And these are all like such positive aspects that are a part of social media. And I guess the question would be, how do we make sure that our feeds are filled with these positive things and not the negativities of social media. I know, like, one great piece of advice that I got from an older person was to filter my feed. So every now and then, just check up on who you're following, and if their values and what they're posting is matching up with how you want to see yourself and how you want to practice. I guess going back to our previous episode, self-care and good mental health and good body image. So how would we ensure that we are spreading positivity and positivity only?
That's a great question, Leanne, because I know like you like one thing on Instagram or TikTok and afterwards that's all you get. It's the only thing you get. Like I liked one thing of fitness in like 2017 and now all my hashtags on is just a bunch of people going to the gym and working out. And I'm pretty sure, like you said, I think you can go change it in settings.
Can you?
Which I feel like you should be able to, like, but probably
Okay.
deleting the hashtags and stuff.
Hmm.
But it is like very upfront because at the start of COVID, all I saw on TikTok was working out videos, how to work out. And I would just sit there saving, liking, like trying to do it all. And at the same time, I was dying because after doing them, I was like, I am not fit for this. And what am I doing this for? So it does mess with you. But like, so the new law that was set out in Australia for no mobile phones at school, how did your school and your peers take it? Because I know personally at my school, everyone still carries around their phone. They've just gotten really good at hiding it. But like it's less open about it. Like it was a good idea taking phones away because now people will actually like sit and focus in class and do stuff. And even if they do it, it's very hidden and they're not ruining anyone else's education or themselves because they are worried about getting that after school detention and stuff. How do you guys?
Yeah, I understand why like they've put that ban, but at the same time, I have to question the effectiveness of it because even like you can take the phones away and everything, but at the end of the day, we still have a short attention span and we're still going to be distracted in class, not because of phones, but just because we've kind of just been growing up in that society where we just have like short videos, short talks, short podcasts, and we've just grown accustomed to having really short attention spans. So even if they do take the phones away, I wonder if it will actually help with improving focus in schools and subjects.
Yeah, because my school, I don't know if it's just my school, but in areas they've made it that it cancels out our data to go on like social media.
Whoa.
And the kids in my class, it's hilarious because sometimes that like the box will cut out the teacher's stuff so they can't present. So then the kids will be like, it's okay, miss, let's just switch it off. Let's just switch it off. You can do it. Don't worry, you won't get in trouble. And they'll try and get it to like switch it off so they can go on like Snapchat and stuff at the same time. But and like then you know which classes you can be in to use your like phone and your data will work.
See, I feel like with my school, they're not that strict on phones. Like, and I think it's more because it's up to the student. Like, we know that it's distracting and that we're going to lose focus if we have it in our pocket. So it's like, if they see it, like, they'll tell you put it away, but it's really up to you to just want to focus. And like, because, especially with COVID, it like interrupted the whole, like, our cycle of focusing in class and, not having it 100% of the time. When we were at home, it was right next to us on our desk, because the majority of people didn't make that habit to put it out in another room. So like now we're back at school and it's like everyone knows that it's damaging. It's just up to you to want to change that and, to put it away.
Exactly. And it depends on the teacher because some teachers, they've like gone, like you've got those older teachers who just have seen it and they're like, yeah, it's your choice. Everything is your choice. How you choose to handle that situation of being on your phone all the time or actually learning something, that's your choice. The teacher even taking your phone away, then you're just going to sit there all upset and you're not going to do any work.
It's not 100% our fault that we're so addicted to it and that we need it next to us 100% of the time. Like, because we're always on it and our whole life is on it. So it's like this tiny little thing that's just like, it's got all of our friends, all of our memories, all of our new things that we like want to keep being updated on, like all these people that we follow, celebrities, everything. And like it's not 100% our fault that we want that near us 100% of the time and we can't get off it, which is why like social media as a whole is so damaging.
Yeah, and I think it's up to us to find that balance between prioritizing education as well as maintaining a social life. And even though it's hard, I think it's important to have that balance. Otherwise, if you go either way too strong, you're kind of disrupting your mental well-being and your physical well-being. And it's kind of disrupting your life as a whole because they're both essential parts of your life.
Yeah, and I have a friend who says her like argument to not doing any work or something is like, I'm working, I have to have a social life. I'm not going to go the next 2 years of life without my friends. I can't just be doing work all the time. But the thing is, you have to be able to balance yourself. You can choose not to go hang out with that person that weekend. Go do it on another weekend when you're like prepared and you've organized and done all the work and you've given yourself that day. Or if you do choose to do it that day, make sure you're able to do all the work the next day and be prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fine line. Like there's, as there is with everything, there's pros and cons with social media. And, while it's positively affected us, there are things that, it restricts us in some ways as well. As long as we're aware of that, we can do better.
Yeah.
So anyways, to close off, thank you guys so much for listening today, and we hope we can see you in our next episode.
Thanks for listening. Hope we inspired you. Can't wait for the next one. This podcast is proudly supported by
Baseline for Young People and the City of Whittlesea.